Okay, now let's talk about the arrows. And probably as we have seen, as we have doing the programming, and you will see a lot of the arrows. So for example, when I did this part, and what I had was I'm trying to convert the 33 UU as a string into an integer, and Python will say I can do that. And then how do I read this error message? And well, the first thing you want to get is this part. So value arrow. So this is a big type of the arrow. And then, well, it generally say that there's something wrong with the value you send into certain function calls. So there's something wrong with the value you are sending, okay? And then you take a look on this part. So this will give you a little bit more detailed information about what is really going wrong. And this part is an invalid literal for int parentheses. So what I'm sending to the int casting is wrong. And then, well, it is 34 UU. That is not a valid number. Okay, so I would say, well, for this kind of error messages, they are not always that readable. However, this is just a Python way of telling you what's wrong and why Python cannot execute your code. So when you see the error messages, don't need to panic. Well, you are going to see these error messages a lot. As a computer science person doing programming for more than 10 years now, and I still see error messages a lot because we don't always remember the right thing to do, and we don't remember the right syntax, we don't remember how many parameters we need to send, and a lot of the things we may make mistakes. So don't panic. Treat error messages as your friends. And this is the first and probably the most basic version of the arrows, and that is the syntax arrow. This means there's simply something wrong with your Python syntax. And for most of the syntax arrows, PyCharm can also help you. Okay, so if I have the hello world and then you start with the code, if you didn't finish with the code, and PyCharm will get confused because PyCharm will expect this string to finish with a code. So PyCharm will warn you this, and then Python will also remind you about this. And for the second line of code, I want to print hello world, but I didn't use code. And then this will confuse Python as well because Python may want to treat hello as a variable, and then there's no such a variable called hello. So for those syntax errors, PyCharm will help you get that, and then Python will also raise syntax error. And then a equals 0, that's okay. A plus plus, can we do that? If in C++ or Java you can, but in Python we don't have that. So this is an operator we don't have, and then that is also a syntax error. And how about this one? Print hello, but without parentheses. And if you see that, and that is a Python 2 syntax, and in Python 3 we can't do that. Okay, and then how about this one? So in the second line there is a extra space, so that is bad indentation, and this will also be a syntax error. So for most of the syntax errors, those are the easiest one because they can be warned by PyCharm. So the next thing, name arrow. Name arrow means you want to access a variable name, but this variable name is not defined yet. So if you want to print the y as a variable name, but you haven't defined the y yet, and then you got a name arrow, and name y is not defined. The next, the type arrow. Type arrow is the type of is the arrow which can be a little bit hard to debug or to find. Well, say if you have a string and then you are doing string plus a 5. And remember, you can do that. You can do a number plus another number, and that is a arithmetic operator, plus or addition. Or you can do a string plus another string, and that is concatenation. However, you can do a string plus a number or a number divided by a string. You can't do that, and then Python will say those two are not compatible data types. Okay, and then if you want to fix this one, if you want to fix this hello string plus a 5, I'm trying to print hello world 5. How do we do that? A quick and dirty fix will be I'm casting the 5 into a string. So I'm printing hello world 5. And a better fix will be like this. So hello world and then placeholder. Since there's only one placeholder, it doesn't really matter that I number that or not. I can just use the empty pair of the parentheses and then I do a dot format 5. So this 5 will be plugged in to the location of this placeholder. So there are just two versions of the fixes. Depending on the case, on the real scenario, you can use the first fix. It's a little bit dirty, but if you're only forcing one value to be a string, I would say that's fine. You don't have to use the second word. Okay? And then the next one is index error. Index error means we are referring or using an index, but that index is not valid in a certain string. For example, say I'm trying to access the index 99. That is the number 100 letter or character because we are counting from 0. So the number 100 letter does not exist in the string hello world. Hello world is too short. So we will have a index error. Okay? So those are a few of the most common error types we may see. And when you see the error types, no worry. Take a look on the error type first. Say this part. So take a look at this part. This will give you what category of the error you are making, and then take a look on the detailed information and try to figure out what is really wrong with your code. And plus, you have the line number, right? So in this case, it tells me it is line 4 causing the problem. Okay, so next time when you see an error message, and don't panic and try to read it and try to treat the error message as your friend. So after today's lecture, those are a few of the sections you can do on CS Circle, and you don't have to read the content. You can jump directly into the questions. But if you just need more reading material, CS Circle is also a nice material you can read. Okay, so that's it for today's lecture, and I will make another short video explaining the exercises for today. So I will see you in the next video.